welcome. I'm Dr. Susan, and I welcome you to Play and Learn. Today, we are going to listen to a new story that I just got this new book, and I just love it. And it's all about listen. Very simple word, but oh, it has such huge magnifications on it when we think about the word listen. The story is about a little girl, and she's going to share some of her ideas with us. And when we're finished with the story, I thought it would be kind of fun and kind of interesting to actually create what she's talking about and what she's sharing with us. But it's all about that idea of listening. Sometimes we can be looking at someone and they're talking, but really not hearing what they say because our mind is somewhere else, or we're thinking about what we're going to go do or what we should have done or something like that. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And listen is one of those very important parts of who we are. And it's not necessarily just something that we do from the outside. We do it from the inside too. Because I'm pretty sure with you, the same as me, I talk to myself, not necessarily out loud, but when I'm thinking, I'm listening to what I'm thinking about. And that makes a difference in part of my day. So let's listen to the story, and as the word listen, what she has to share with us. And then we'll kind of discuss how that looks and if we can create a picture of what that looks like. So let's go ahead and listen to the story. All right. So here we go. The book is called Listen. Very simple. It is written by Holly McKee, and it's illustrated by Pascal, and I'm going to try his last name, Lemaitre. Lemaitre? I'm not quite sure how you say that. But anyway, his first name is Pascal, which is a really cool name. So let's see what she's going to share with us. Listen to the sound of your feet, the sound of all of us, and the sound of me. Wonder how different it would be to wear your bare feet and walk in the grass. What would you hear? You'd really have to listen closely. Or if you hear an animal scurrying through the grass, what would that sound like? We would have to listen to know. Look to the shining sun. It is for you and all of us. It is for me. What the sun has to offer us and offer our plants and animals. The stars, they are for you and all of us. They are for me. Have you ever sat out in the front yard and just looked at the stars, or laid in the backyard and looked up at the stars? Breathe. Smell the air. My air is yours, and all of ours. Your air is mine. See the beautiful breeze that's going through there by the way the leaves are moving. Taste. The food you eat is also the sun, is also the rain. The food I eat is also the sun, is also the rain. Dig in the earth. Your roots are mine, my roots are yours, and the roots of all of us are the same. Yet, you are you, and I am me, and we are we, us. Pay attention to the picture. We're going to kind of take a look at that and see what we can do with it. Listen with your heart. It is your ears, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, your hands. Your heart can hear everything, see everything, smell everything, taste everything, and touch everything. Your heart can hold everything, including the world, its darkness and its light, including your story, including my story, including the story of all of us. That is a very big heart. And when your heart hears your own story, it hears my story too. Your story, my story, our story. Listen to the sound of your feet, the sound of all of us, and the sound of me. The end. That is a very short story, which only took us a couple of minutes to read, yet it tells us so many things. And I thought it would be kind of fun to take that idea of all the different words that she used and that she talked about, that if we take those words and we take those thoughts and create a picture of what it looks like. Because sometimes when we hear something, it's more powerful if we can see something that backs that up or balances that. And when we taste sweet, sour. Those are the different kind of tastes that we have. And we all acquire a different kind of taste for different kinds of foods that we have. Different type of food. We have fruits and we have meats and vegetables and all those different things that we enjoy and that is part of who we are. And it's part of everybody else too, because everybody eats, even our plants and our animals. You have to feed your plants as they're growing to have great vegetables and things like that. So I thought it would be kind of interesting if we went ahead and we created a picture. When I came to the story in the book about the tree, that she's sitting under the tree, and I thought, wouldn't it be kind of fun to recreate that? So we're going to recreate that tree and kind of add a little bit of something to it that's just a little bit different than the picture that we saw. So what I brought with me today is a bunch of things, and I'm sure you probably have these kinds of things laying around the house or in the backyard or in the front yard, because I have twigs that's going to represent the tree trunk, and I have some silk leaves that are going to represent some of the leaves that we saw, and also we'll add a little touch with something else when we get to it. We'll talk a little bit about that. But I brought other things. I brought tissue paper that we can make part of the tree with. We can make words with the tissue paper too. So we're going to be creating that, and we're the tree branches. I brought that, and I'm going to put most of this together with my glue gun. So I brought that today. Now, if you have a glue gun and Mom and Dad are okay with you using it with their supervision, then you can go ahead and do that. Also, if you want to create the story for yourself, remember we talked about her story, our story, everyone's story. It kind of runs along the same kind of a line. So here's what we're going to be doing, is we're going to create the tree itself. I kind of drew a little bit of a sketch. I know it's hard to see on the picture of what it looks like, but you'll start seeing the image once we get going on it. So we're going to go ahead, and I'm going to take these little branches that I have, and I'm going to create the tree trunk. So I have my glue gun, and I'm just going to kind of put some lines of glue like this. I don't know if you can see that, but hopefully you can. And I have to kind of pay attention to what I'm doing because glue guns are hot, and I like my fingers. So I'm going to be gentle with that. All right? So we put a bunch of lines of glue. And I'm going to just stick the glue stick down, the glue down, and just break the branches and put them down. And it dries pretty fast, so we're going to move quickly on doing this part. And we'll fill it in as we go along. But the tree trunk, the tree kind of represents life. It represents who we are and all the things that we do. And we think about all the things that a tree gives you. What does a tree give you? Let's see if we can name some of them. Well, to start off, a tree gives you shade in the warm summer. You can sit in the shade of a tree. It gives birds a place to build their nests. and also other animals to build their homes, like an owl. An owl lives in a tree. So the tree is a very important part of who we are. I know we're not branches and made out of sticks and stuff like that, but it also helps us with communication. You know that we get paper from trees, that there's an industry that creates paper from the trees, and that helps us communicate. We can write letters, we can send cards. There's all kinds of ways that we can, that the trees help us communicate with each other. And that's one of them. So we're going to kind of fill in the branches here as we go. And what else does a tree do for us? Well, there's orchards. And the orchards grow vegetables or fruit. Well, you'll get, I guess, yeah, the avocados. I think avocados are fruit, I'm not sure. They're classified as a fruit. But we get fruit from trees, which is food and nourishment. Remember when she said about taste and about food? She said that that's part of who we are. And the other part about trees is that we love to climb them. They give us entertainment when we can climb the trees. They give them homes for the birds, which we chatted about a few minutes ago. And they also, as I said, create shade for us to sit under, and shade for plants that need more shade than sun. The trees that grow in gardens and stuff help shade and protect the plants. That also happens. So a tree is more than just something pretty to look at. It is a picture of life because it has cycles, just like we do. And trees grow to be very old. Have you ever seen, I know there's an elm tree, I can't remember the town that it's in, but it's hundreds of years old. And it's still growing. It still has its leaves. It loses its leaves in the winter when it's kind of like hibernating, like some of the animals hibernate. And and then in the spring, the leaves grow back. And that's when we get our apples and oranges and all those other wonderful things that we get. See, it's beginning to look like a tree trunk, right? Slowly here, we're creating that. We'll break some of these other branches off if we have to later. And I'm going to use a couple of different ways in which to do this because not everybody has twigs sitting at home like I do. So we're going to use another method to create the branches that are on our tree. Oops. We can fill that in a little bit later, or if we don't want to add any more branches to it, we can use a marker to go in through the branches, or these sticks on the tree, and fill it in so we don't have any white spots from the canvas that I'm putting it on. So break these little pieces and stick them in here, just like that. And it's kind of fun to create. It's like building Legos and stuff. So we do that. Now, to create our branches and our roots. Now I know she talked about, in her story, she talked about our roots. And what does she mean by that? She's not talking about the tree, but she is talking about where we come from. So we're going to let the glue dry for just a second before we go on to the branches. But I wanted to also, she said that there's the sun, and there's the rain, and air. Where's the air come from? Trees help with air. And I'm going to draw a little bit of a sun over here, color it in. And if you'd just like to, at home, you can go ahead and just draw pictures of this. You know, from what we saw in the story, and you could just kind of design your own if you want to pick a tree, or maybe you have a favorite plant or something like that that would mean the same thing as the tree does. So we're going to put the sun here. That's the nutrients and things that we get from the sun for our plants to grow, for us to grow too. The sun is very important. Okay, so now we have the sun. There's the sun that she was talking about. Okay, like that. Now we're going to create some branches on our tree. Now the interesting part about this tree that we're creating is it isn't kind of like the tree you're going to go see in the backyard or the front yard, or maybe on one of the streets that you drive around in your city. It is a tree made of many, many, many different, what we call mediums, okay? So we're going to take the tissue paper I just cut, and we're just going to do it like this, and we're just going to roll it. Just roll it like this, as tight as you can roll it. Okay? See what I'm doing? You just roll it really, really super tight. And I have all this glue that's sticking to my fingers. So we're just going to roll it really, really tight. Just like that. But roll it really tight. Oh, it's going to look like just a fat log, right, to start with. But you'll see how it's going to transform into branches. Okay, so I'm going to take that, and then I'm just going to twist. Just twist the paper just like this. Once you rolled it, then you're just going to twist it. And if it has little bitty pieces that pop out, that's okay, because that's like a branches on the tree. The tree branches where the leaves grow and the flowers grow. There's little things that hold on to the leaves, the stems of the flowers or the stems of the leaves. And if our branch is bumpy, that's perfectly okay. So we've done one here. So now I'm going to take, and I want to create, and I'm going to interweave it amongst the branches I have on the tree. So I'm going to stick the glue on here to where I want the branch to go. It's like that. So these are kind of free-form art, so to speak. And you'll see as we get going, and if there's pieces that hang off the edge like that, you can see the pieces hang. Don't worry about that right now. We'll fix that later. And here's another piece. So we're going to twist this one. And I want to have 5 branches, and I have a specific reason for doing the 5. So we'll just get these made so you can see how that goes. But let's talk about the other things that she shared in the story. She shared about sunshine. She said the sun is hers, it's yours, and it's ours. So there we go. We have more of that. So I'm going to cut another strip of paper here. I think you can see me doing that. It's not hard to do this. This is the easy part. And it doesn't matter how scraggly it gets. The scragglier the better, probably. So we're just going to fold it over and just crunch it all up. And like I said, it doesn't matter if it has the little ends, the pokey ends coming out. That doesn't matter. So, but I wanted to have 5 because she talked about, one of the things she talked about is, one of the things is look. When you look at things, when you look at an object, or you look at maybe something that's very special to you, what is by looking at it that creates feelings inside of us? Maybe it's a gift that someone gave you, or a special card that someone sent to you that you received in the mail. And it has very special meaning. Maybe your grandma or grandpa sent it to you, or your favorite aunts or uncles. Or if your brothers and sisters don't live with you, maybe they sent that to you too. But what that does, it has special meaning. And that's the part that we want to continue to think about. So here we go. We're going to put branch number 3, and we're just going to go in between this one And like I said, this is just a picture of, well, I guess we could call this the tree of life, right? That would be a good name for it. And the craggier it looks, I think the better it is. And then we can actually, if we wanted to, instead of drawing or coloring in between the bark that we put on, we can actually stick the tissue paper in there. And that might give it a really interesting effect. So we have that. Wouldn't it be fun to create your family tree this way? You know, have all the branches about the different parts of your family. I'm pulling all the glue off my fingers as I'm going here. All right, so now let's do another leaf. I'm not even bothered. Not even going to bother to cut it. I'm just going to tear it. It's always fun to tear stuff. Okay, so we're going to fold this in half and start doing the twisting again. So this is creating our tree, and this is branch number, I'm going to glue this one down. This is branch number 4 that we're putting on here. And if you picked it up in the story, one of the things she's talking about is our 5 senses. She talked about our eyes, and if you sit under a tree, usually you have a smell of fragrance, or maybe you smell freshness, or if you sit under a lemon tree, boy, you're going to smell lemons, or a lime tree, you'll smell limes. And the same thing is the bushes of lavender. You'll smell lavender if you go past one of those bushes. You'll definitely smell the lavender. Or you can smell basil and thyme, and those are things that we cook with, but they're also plants that you can plant in your garden. And they smell really, really nice. But they also give us the food that she talks about, because that creates energy in us to make a difference in who we are and the things that we do day to day. And sometimes we don't even, when we eat, we don't even think about it. You know, we're hungry, so we just eat the food, right? We don't necessarily even think about what it does for us or where it came from. And unless you've lived on a farm or you've visited a farm, so you can see where all the fruits and the vegetables and the trees, they have lime gardens and lemon groves and apple groves and all those places where all these. So this is kind of like the tree that she was talking about, except it's missing one thing. And I'm going to create that right now. But it's missing one thing here. It says, listen with your heart. Starts with me. And I'm going to use this green paper. And we're going to spell a word. So I'm going to crumble this up just like we did with the branches. And we're going to add that to the bottom of the picture. And I think if you remember in the book what that word was. That word adds all of us together. So let's see if I can do this really quickly. So I really loved the book. I thought it was really cool, and it made you think about a lot of different things. Like I said, it was a very short little book and not a whole lot of words, but the words were super important. And they told us a wonderful, wonderful story about who we are. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to shape this first one. I'm going to cut it like this. Okay. And down on top of these leaves, I'm going to glue this like that. And I'm going to add this. There we go, that's that part. And we're going to do one more letter. This one might be a little trickier, but we can do it. So I hope you have fun with this, that you might be able to make just your own family tree and discover all the different places that your family came from and how one thing added to another, and one thing took one person one way and another thing took another person another way. Yet, no matter where you go, you always, always end up with, let's see now if I can do this correctly. Okay, let's see. Give this last thing a whirl here, like this. Come on now. Let's see. So, it ends with, see how good I did. Glue is very sticky. There we go. The ending, and it's not really ending, it's a beginning. Everything has a beginning. And it has a temporary end, but it continues out really fast. And it ends with us down here. It starts out with our listening, what we do with our hands, how we make a difference, how we speak, what we see, and the wonderful fragrances we get from what the earth offers us, and the wonderful smells we get from Mom's kitchen or Grandma's cooking, or any of those wonderful things that mean something to us, that have memories, and that helps us. And it gives us part of who we are. Because I know a lot of kids have parents that live overseas. Not parents, I mean grandparents that live overseas, and yet they share so many wonderful things with us to remind us of where we come from, down here in the roots. And those roots we want to share and pass on the information and the things that we learned. And those are the wonderful family stories that we tell. So this is a picture of the book of how we use all of the things in there and always remind us and remember that we always end with us. We start with you, me, us. Those are the things that make the difference for us. So as you think about your day and where you come from and all the things that are important to you, just know that as you do that, you're spreading that around. You're being those leaves that fly in the air, that land somewhere else, somewhere different, and make a difference there. And we can start with one simple little thought, and it can just fly. And we'd be amazed at the different places it stops and how it changes and becomes greater and greater. So if you'd like to, go ahead and make a family tree for yourself so you can see where all those things are and where you originated and the ideas that generate who you are. So thank you very much for being with us this morning, and I hope you enjoyed the story. And I know that you can pick up the book if you like the story. You can pick it up from Amazon. That's where I ordered it from. So thanks very much for being with us, and I hope you enjoyed our fun little craft that we created. So we have a picture of the storybook. So have a great week, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. So take care, and thank you.